second and fourth Monday of the month. With me is Coach Brian Martin Shawson. And for tonight, we're going to share with you our actual examination experience. We're already done talking about the four subtests: listening, reading, writing, speaking. And we have gone through the overview of various high stakes English examinations, namely IELTS, OET, and PTE. But for tonight, we are going to focus on our actual experience. Why? Because we have also taken the examination. So we'd like to share with you what happened on the day of our exam. Like our previous Facebook Live sessions with AMN Academy, we give prizes. That's why make sure that you actively participate, because by the end of our Facebook Live session, we are going to identify lucky winners. So what are the possible prizes that you can win for tonight? Number one, it could be GCash incentive of 500 pesos. Or number two, it could be a free one-on-one coaching with me or with Coach Brian. Or number three, take your pick. Would you like to receive a hard copy of an IELTS book or OET book that we can deliver for free if you live in the Philippines? Or number four, you can have 1 month free access to our AI-powered writing correction. Now, we are going to celebrate our 17th anniversary extravaganza come June 29 at SM Mega Mall. So let's take a look at the comment section. We need our live viewers to interact with us. Let us know if you live in Metro Manila or Region 3 and Region 4 so that we can send you the instructions on how you can register for free for our English Exams Expo happening by the end of the month. And remember, we can only pick you as the lucky winner if you interact with us. So what are you waiting for? Use the comment section. Let us know where you are from. And after this, I'll turn you over to Sir Brian, also for him to invite you to maximize the discounted IELTS exam fee, discounted PTE exam fee, and discounted OET examination fee if you're going to take the test in the Philippines. For now, I'm going to share the link to various group chats. And Sir Brian, please take it away first.
Greetings to everybody who's attending this lesson. And to those who would want to book their exams very soon, those who are already prepared to take their English exams, don't you know that 9.09er offers discounted rates for your English exams, particularly for the IELTS and the OET, as well as the PTE. If you have your exams processed by 9.09er, then you can get a discounted rate. Not only would you be able to free yourself of the hassle of going through all of the rigorous forms and filling them out independently, you would also be able to save a lot of money in the process, because we are offering various discounted exam fees for your different English examinations. So just in case you want to avail of our offer, all you need to do is to email exams@nineronlinereview.com, or else you can send us a message on our Facebook page, so that we can arrange your booking for your English exams, and at the same time we can grant you that discounted rate. Of course, everybody wants to get a discounted rate at the end of the day. And also I would want to share that 9.09er is an official IELTS test center as well, in partnership with the British Council Philippines in various locations in the country. So if you're planning to take your examination, you can get a more heavily discounted rates if you're booking your examination with a 9.09 or British Council testing site. And we are also an official PTE reseller. 9.09er is in fact a PTE reseller, and what that means to say is that we can offer the PTE at the discounted rate through the vouchers that we purchase in bulk from the PTE. So if you're interested to book your PTE, even if you're a non-Niner enrollee, that's perfectly fine. You can take advantage of the discounted rate and not have to go through the hassle of using a credit card to book your examination. You just have to pay cash and then or bank deposit, and we are going to process your examination. And you know also that the PTE is quite expensive right now at 230 US dollars. So when you book your examination, there's still going to be a credit card fee and an international charge plus the conversion rates. So it can get a little bit hefty, but with 9.09 you get discounted rates for the PTE and you don't have to worry about all of the other charges in between. Okay, so now it's time for me to turn over to once again Sir Irvin, who's going to introduce today's really interesting topic about exam success.
Thank you so much, Sir Brian. And as promised, our topic for tonight, actual examination experience. So, personally, I have taken two examinations, one IELTS academic and one IELTS general training. My first examination with the British Council and my second examination with IDP. Sir Brian here has also taken 30 English tests. He took his IELTS twice, one paper based version and one computer delivered version. And he has also taken PTE. That is why I'm certain you're excited to know what transpired when we took the examination. Right now, we have 40 live viewers, and isn't it nice if we can have more people joining us for tonight so that we are going to hear firsthand our personal experience? So please tag your friends because remember, you have to get our attention if you want to win that prize for tonight. So, if you have just joined us, this is the Facebook Live of AMN Healthcare International, and we call this AMN Academy. And this is every Monday at 9 to 10 p.m. Philippine time. Guys, every first Monday and third Monday of the month, it's free lessons on NCLEX with the partner nursing review centers of AMN Healthcare International. And every second and fourth Monday of the month, you get to see 9.09er teach you anything related to IELTS, OET, and PTE. Now, let's take a look at the comments of our live viewers. So, Gel DG, good evening, Sir Irvin and Sir Brian. Good evening to you too. Same comment from Maria Rowena Melgar. Good evening, sir. Nini Buenviaje is just from Cavite, and Cavite is just the neighbor of Metro Manila. Come June 29, we hope that Miss Nini, you can join us. We hope to see you and your friends at SM Mega Mall. That's June 29, 12 noon to 5 p.m. for our English Examinations Expo. What's in it for you if you're going to join? On that day, we are giving a total of 19 free examinations. Like, wow, just wow. In my 18 years of experience in this industry, I have never attended an event offering 19 free examinations. So, what are the free exams that you can possibly win on that day? 5 free PTE exams, courtesy of Pearson VUE. So thank you so much, Pearson, for giving 5 free exams. Also, we would like to thank the British Council Philippines for giving 3 free examinations for IELTS and IDP Education Pty Limited for offering 2 free IELTS exams. Also, we'd like to thank OET for sponsoring 1 OET examination. And we also have 5 free TOEIC exams and 3 free MET examinations. Not only that, we're also giving away grand cash prizes. In fact, the grand prize is 17,000 pesos because it's our 17th anniversary, and we'll be identifying 17 winners of 1,000 pesos each. We are going to give a free book and a free sandwich to the first 150 early bird attendees. So please make sure to message 9.09er English, or you can message me, Irvin Neil Temporal. I'll send you the QR code for you to register for free. So imagine the event is totally free of charge. You get a free book, you get a free sandwich, and we'll never know if you're going home with a grand prize or the free examination. Okay, let's take a look at the other comments. Nympha, same greeting. Good evening. Gel is from Pangasinan. Well, I know that it takes 5 hours or 4 hours, depending if you're going to bring your own car, to go to SM Mega Mall on June 29. But I promise it will all be worth it because of all the prizes and freebies that you can possibly bring home. Joy Celine Kent is just from Laguna. Laguna is also a neighbor of Metro Manila. So if you have time, Miss Joy Celine, on June 29, that's 12 noon. Nympha is from Malolos. Bulacan is also the neighbor of Metro Manila. We hope to see you and your friends, Miss Nympha. Francis is just from Manila, a stone's throw away from SM Mega Mall. Mary is from Cavite. As mentioned earlier, less than 1 hour of travel going to Ortigas, where SM Mega Mall is located. Cabanatuan, yes, it's also accessible from Metro Manila. All you have to do is to make sure that you arrive before 12 noon so that if you're part of the first 150 attendees, free book and free sandwich for you. Rowena is from Cebu. No worries because we might be able to uh, do a live stream for content purposes, but no prizes for our online viewers, and that is to encourage you guys to make it in person on June 29. Okay, Joanne is watching from Saudi Arabia. Okay, and we have Ina all the way from Tuguegarao City. So we have greeted our audience. Now we have nearly 50 live viewers. Again, let's encourage your friends to join our free session for tonight because it's not every day that we do a 9 p.m. Facebook live session. Most of our Facebook live sessions are at 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. But I guess this is the best time if you are from the Middle East because in the Middle East it's just late afternoon. Okay, so let's get it started. So, Sir Brian, what happened on the day of your first examination, knowing that it's your first time?
My first examination was a paper delivered exam, and let me just very quickly go through. Yeah, there we go. The test journey. It's a paper delivered examination, and when I went to the center, there were a lot of people who were actually a little panicky. Back then, there were so many candidates who were taking the examination, and there were probably around 300 of us who took the examination on a single sitting. And that's kind of different now because when you're taking IELTS on computer, it's a completely different experience. Like you have only a fewer population of people inside the room, but back then there were like 300 people inside an entire ballroom, so it can get a little chaotic. And a lot of people were very anxious because they didn't know where to go, they didn't know what booth they're supposed to register in, they didn't know where they're supposed to be seated and all that. And thankfully, back then I took the examination with IDP. They were very organized in helping people out and making the exam journey a little bit more tolerable for all of those people. But if there's anything that I can remember about the examination, my listening examination was kind of crazy because we were expecting everything to be in an English accent. But since this is an international examination, in the second part of my listening examination, and this is actually where I flubbed, there was a Nigerian guy calling a UK agency. And it was about a parcel that was lost in transit. And it was so hard because the Nigerian guy was actually using a payphone, and so there's a lot of background noise, and at the same time the voice clarity wasn't really there because it's a phone call. So it was really crazy. I just probably guessed a few items there and I didn't get everything. Thankfully I was able to get an 8.5 in the listening test of the IELTS, which is really fun. Reading was, it was never a weakness for me. I prepared, by the way, with 9.09er English Review and Tutorial Center. So I was a student back then when I took the examination. It was super fun for me because I know the strategy. So that's one thing that you could do. And thankfully, AMN actually provides free review to all of those candidates that they bring into the program. So if you want free review with 9.09er, which is what I consider to be the best, okay, sign up with AMN. Anyway, it was super easy for me. It was a breeze. I was able to finish the reading test in in a jiffy. I had a lot of time to check my answers, but this was actually where everything got really hard. When we flip into the first page of the writing examination, there was a commotion in the room. When we flipped open, because your writing examination is closed, when it's given to you, and then you will be asked to open it all at the same time. There was a commotion in the room, and the proctor really had to keep everyone quiet. Like, she had to tell everyone, this is a test, please, keep quiet, because when we opened the test booklet, the writing task was so difficult because, in the first part, it was an academic examination. There was not one pie chart, but pie charts, nine pie charts with five slices each. Can you imagine? So there are nine pie charts. The entire page is full, and we had to write that in 20 minutes. And then the writing task two question was super difficult because it had a three prong question stem. What are the causes, what are the effects, and what are the solutions, which is kind of hard. I felt everyone being very tense during that time, and even my seatmate was actually trembling during the entire test. And when we walked out of the room, well, for me, I just felt like, you know, it was not difficult. And the reason for that is something I've talked about before, that the question that I received in my writing examination was something I rehearsed for or prepared for a week prior to my test with 9.09, or can you imagine? So anyway, it was not hard for me, but everyone else found it very hard. And when we walked out of the room, it was like, we went out of um a wake or something, so like somebody died or something. There was a very grim negative energy everywhere, and it's kind of gloomy. And the speaking examination I actually took in a separate test date. um the speaking examination, I thought it was really fun. Like IELTS is really fun. Like when it comes to the speaking examination is always fun because it's an interactive kind of situation. When you're talking to an examiner and giving answers, it's not really to impress, but to just kind of, show your personality and all that. So I really had a lot of fun taking the speaking examination. But the writing examination, I was so surprised with, because when I received my test result, it was a band 9. It was so shocking because I felt it was a very difficult examination, but probably many other people felt that it was so hard as well, so they didn't do well. So probably I was like the best of the lot. That's why I got a band 9. But generally speaking, it is not a walk in the park. So in conclusion, if you are not prepared, and if you are probably someone who just took the examination on a whim and didn't prepare at all, you will definitely panic because there's a lot of stress that you will encounter when you take the actual examination. I can imagine it will be a very terrible, a very difficult time for you if you are not prepared to take the exam. So make sure to prepare so that no matter how difficult your questions are in the examination, you will not panic. You will not be part of those people who will be taking the examination trembling in fear. You will actually stick out as that one person who's confident when taking this examination. Right. How about you, Sir Irvin? Was it the same experience for you? Like, a lot of people were trembling in fear.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience, Sir Brian. Before we continue, can we please greet Sir Brian a happy birthday? In fact, it was his birthday yesterday, but he did not take a leave from work. He continued to work, and now, as you can see, he is with us for our AMN Academy Facebook Live session. And by the way, this coming Wednesday, since it's a holiday, more people are available. Sir Brian is going to have his birthday TikTok live where we are giving away plenty of prizes. So if you can also follow 9.09 on TikTok, because the birthday celebration of Sir Brian is happening on Wednesday. So yay, happy birthday, Sir Brian. Thank
Thank
you for
you.
still being with us, teaching our dear learners and nurses who would like to pursue their dream of going to the United States of America. Now, can we please look at the slides, because I'll use that as basis for the next part of our presentation. So now it says here,
Yes.
navigating the test day journey. So test day experiences in various high stakes English examinations. I'd like to share with you my personal experience. So remember, I took two examinations at a time when it was just paper delivered exam. Back then, there was no IELTS on computer. There was no PTE. So if you can only imagine the first time I took the examination, maybe some of you were still in high school because I first took my IELTS in 2008. Now, let's take a look at the comment section and may I ask our 40 live viewers, now that you have the option, which English test would you like to take? Is it paper or computer? And this is an important question for you guys. Why? Because now you have the liberty to decide which examination to take. Unlike back then in 2006, 2007, 2008, we were sort of prisoners because if you want to go abroad, you don't have an option. You just have to take IELTS on paper. That's it. Back then, no OET, no PTE, no computer delivered examination. So I'd like to ask you, guys, who among you would like to take the exam on paper or examination on computer? Let us know your thoughts because I'm going to share with you exactly the things that you need to consider before you decide should you take the test on paper or computer. So, Gel wants to take the examination on computer. Yes, if you're from Pangasinan, there is a testing center over there in Dagupan. Joy wants to take the test in computer. And earlier, if my memory serves me right, Joy is from Laguna. That's why I also want to remind Miss Joy that we have a computer based facility in Calamba. Ruth here also plans to take the test on computer together with Nympha, Mark Anthony, Nini, and Marlene. However, we have a few who are planning to take the test on paper, like Stiffy or Stify. There's Rowena and Lizette. So, guys, for Lizette, Rowena, and Stiffy or Stify, if you want to take the test on paper, then your only options are IELTS and OET. Why? Because there is no PTE on paper. However, if you're planning to take the test on computer, then IELTS, OET, PTE, all three of them have computer delivered versions. Now, I know that you have searched somewhere or you have heard somewhere that there is what we call IELTS online test at home and OET online test at home. Please do not consider this option because US does not recognize results of examinations that are taken at home. If you want to go to the United States, then your only options are to take the test on paper at a facility or to take the test on computer at a facility. You cannot take your English examination at home if you'd like to work in the United States of America. So, something for you to consider, ladies and gentlemen. If you decide to take the test on paper, guys, the registration is very early. Like how early? 6:30 a.m. Well, good for Sir Brian and I because we are both morning persons. We usually wake up at 6 a.m. or sometimes even before that. But if you are not that kind of person who would like to take the test, I mean, wake up that early only for you to arrive at the registration area at 6:30 a.m. There's what we call IELTS on computer, and the registration starts at 7:30 a.m. However, I need to congratulate the people who are taking the test in 2024 because with PTE, there is an afternoon session and there's also late afternoon session. Sir Bry, I'm just curious, what is the last time slot for PTE? Is it 4:30 in the afternoon or do we have a 7 p.m. time slot for the actual PTE exam?
Yeah, it depends on the day. We have actually seen some exams as late as 7 p.m. in the evening, but I guess right now most of the schedules are until 4:30 p.m. Yeah, but sometimes there are just some exams that are held 5:30. It will really depend on what's available, but we have had instances when there were night schedules, probably when it's the peak of the test and there were a lot of test takers, the demand was very high. So it really depends on what are available. But yeah, it's possible that there are 4 or 5 sessions in a day, because especially now the PTE is just shortened to 2 hours, so they can open more available seats for the test.
So, guys, this is something for you to consider when you decide. If you want to take the test in the afternoon, for sure, take the examination on computer. It could be IELTS on computer, OET on computer, PTE on computer, because there is no PTE on paper. However, if you want to take the test on paper, then your only option is to take the examination in the morning, and you have to wake up early because registration starts at 6:30 a.m. Now, a lot of our candidates have expressed their interest in taking the examination on computer, but I think here's a question from Stiffy or Stify that we need to address before we continue. Question, Sir Irvin, for OET paper-based examination, can we take it at 9.09er Cebu? Okay, 9.09er has a branch in Cebu that is a review center for face-to-face classes for various English examinations. However, for the testing center in Cebu, if you plan to take the examination, or if you're planning to take OET on paper, then your options are ACE Testing Hub Cebu and ICSEC Kaplan Cebu. So those are the two options if you're taking OET on paper. If you're going to take PTE, the testing center in Cebu is ACE Testing Hub. For IELTS, if you're going to take it with the British Council, it's with CPILS Cebu. And if you're going to take your IELTS on computer with IDP, IDP has its own office in Cebu. Now, this is another question that I'd like to ask the candidates. When you take the test, how many fellow examinees would you like to have while the test is going on? And this is an important question because recently, now that computer delivered examination is becoming more popular, I've heard of complaints about candidates. According to them, the computer keyboard is noisy. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, it's 2024. Unfortunately, technology is not perfect yet. And as of 2024, a quiet keyboard has not been invented yet. Do you agree with me, Sir Brian, that sometimes when you take the actual examination, it can get a little noisy, especially if there are like 15 or 20 candidates taking the test on computer?
Yes, it is. It can be quite distracting, but it's something that you'll have to live with. Whether you're taking a computer delivered exam or a a version of the test, there will always be distractions, and it's just a matter of you taking control of the situation and not being affected by what's going on around you. Because at the end of the day, you can't avoid those extraneous factors to really be experienced during the test itself, and you just have to remain focused and concentrated. And that's why it's very important to prepare for your English test, because if you're prepared, you have actually experienced all of these through mock exams or whatnot, then it's gonna make the entire process a lot more tolerable for you.
And I also want to think that if you've taken the examination in 2008, back then, it can make you more anxious because you feel that you are really taking an examination. Because imagine back then, it was just IELTS on paper and what? Scheduled twice a month. So everyone needs to wait for the next test date in order for this candidate to take the test. And mind you, 2008 to 2010, that was the peak of nursing, peak of IELTS as well. So would you like to guess how many of us took the test together? I will never forget because my surname starts with the letter T, temporal. Meaning to say, if the names of the candidates are listed alphabetically, my surname is always towards the end. And I will never forget because when I took the test, I was candidate number 388. So yes, there were 400 of us taking the examination together in one big ballroom at EDSA Shangri-La. But now it gets to be a little more comfortable and you won't feel too anxious anymore because sometimes there are only 30 candidates taking the test nowadays. And the environment will make it more conducive for you to focus because you wouldn't really feel that you are in a testing environment. Whereas if you're going to take the test on computer, if it's IELTS on computer, maximum of 10 computer units inside the computer lab. But for PTE, there are 15 to 20 computer units. And for IELTS, you're going to wait for your turn if you'd like to talk by yourself. But for PTE, that's just impossible because for the speaking subtest of PTE, all the candidates are going to talk all at the same time. So imagine you need to focus on whatever is in front of you. And guys, sometimes, and I need to say this, sometimes you have to compete with the grating voices of 15 to 20 other candidates in the room. I have not taken a computer delivered examination, but Sir Brian right here has taken a computer delivered exam. So, Sir Brian, what is your experience when you took the examination back then during PTE that you had to talk while the others are also speaking in the speaking subtest of PTE?
Sir, fortunately, during that time, it was 2015, there were not a lot of test takers. That was the first time that the PTE was offered in the Philippines, and I was in an entire cubicle by myself. But I was able to see how the examination has changed drastically over the years. And now I'm seeing a lot of people, and I can only imagine how difficult it is to compete with a lot of people inside the room. It can also be kind of distracting and at the same time demotivating, especially if there's someone in the room who's really, really good. I remember one of our students who took the examination, and she was actually seated in front of or like behind a person who's really good in English, and she felt kind of intimidated and was not able to perform really well. So, these are some of the challenges that you will encounter right now because you're not inside one cubicle, you will be inside a room full of other candidates who are taking the examination at the same time with you, especially for the speaking examination. And remember, speaking is your first exam in the PTE, so it can make or break you. Sometimes, if you lose your motivation and drive early on in the exam, then it kind of spirals down into, all of the other parts of the examination.
Great. Thank you for that insight, Sir Brian. Now, let's take a look at the other comments before we continue with our discussion of actual examination experience. So, Rowena Melgar just asked, how long do exams often last? For IELTS academic. So you have to allot 3 hours for the written exam. So that's 9 a.m. to 12 noon. That is if you are fortunate and nothing bad happened. And I have to say this because sometimes there's a technological difficulty. So instead of finishing the examination at exactly 12 noon, it is sometimes extended until 12:15 or 12:30. And guys, that is just for the written exams. You then have to eat your lunch, come back in the afternoon for the speaking test. Good for you if your speaking exam is scheduled at 1 p.m. or 1:30 p.m. But sometimes your speaking exam is scheduled at 3:30 p.m. or 4 p.m. So a friendly reminder, should you decide to take IELTS, whether it's IELTS on paper or IELTS on computer, you need to allot the entire day for your examination. My suggestion is for you to book the examination at least 3 weeks or 4 weeks in advance so that you can still pick the best time slot for speaking. The problem if you're going to book for the test a week before the examination, what's left for the speaking slots? 5 p.m., 6 p.m. So this means spending more than 8 hours or sometimes more than 10 hours in the examination venue. So this is why PTE is preferred by other candidates because in PTE, you get to finish everything in 2 hours. Listening, reading, writing, speaking, everything is incorporated in 2 hours, and you're never going to spend more than 3 hours at the actual examination venue. So these things matter, and we need to share them with you in order for you to decide which English examination am I supposed to take. Now, how often is the examination? Well, Miss Rowena is from Cebu, if I'm not mistaken. The examination is available there 4 times a week. So that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Stiffy or Stify said, thank you and you're welcome. Jamie Lou Mahimpit. Ask ko lang po, is there a testing center here in Davao? Oh yes, Davao is an important city. It's also my hometown. And yes, in Davao, there's IELTS on paper, IELTS on computer, there's OET, and there's PTE. So, whatever English examination you'd like to take, the three major exams are available in Davao. For IELTS on computer, it's available every week. For IELTS on paper, once or twice a month. For OET on paper, twice a month. And for PTE, it's available 3 or 4 days a week. Let's take a look at the other questions. And we have one here from Joycelyn Kent. Is the seating arrangement one seat apart in niner testing centers for computer based? And do we need to wear a face mask during the exam? Back then in 2020 or even until 2022, everyone was required to wear face mask. It's not an IELTS rule, but it's the rule of what? The government or the Department of Health. But finally, we have declared that the COVID-19 pandemic is over. That's why you are no longer required to wear face masks at the examination venue. Now, for the one seat apart, good for you because you live in Laguna, where there are not like it's not as if there are 10 candidates taking the test together. Sometimes there are only three, sometimes there are only six. So definitely you are assured of a more exclusive environment when you're taking the test at 9.09er Calamba Testing Center. And here's a question from Reg Nepomuceno. What about here in CDO? CDO again is an important market. There's IELTS on computer in CDO, OET on paper. But for PTE, there is not. You have to fly all the way to Cebu or Makati, or you have to travel all the way to Davao for your PTE examination. So, when I took the examination, apparently it was ages ago. So, what I did when I arrived at the examination venue, I had to double check the schedule of my speaking because here's something for you to consider. Back then, the speaking venue is not the same as the written exam venue. So, please, guys, be prepared for you to go back to the testing center on a different day for your speaking examination if it's the IELTS. Or, in my case, where was my written exams? EDSA, Shangri-La, Ortigas. But what about my speaking examination, Taipan Building Ortigas on Monday? So imagine, my written exams Saturday, my speaking exam Monday. And then for my written exams, EDSA Shangri-La Hotel. For my speaking examination, Taipan Building. Things like this happen in IELTS, but never for PTE. Because for PTE, all you have to do is to go to one venue where you get to finish everything in 2 hours. And that's it. Well, for my story, it's IELTS academic, IELTS general training, IELTS on paper, both instances, one with the British Council, one with IDP. But Sir Brian's experience is more colorful because he has taken IELTS on paper, IELTS on computer, and PTE. So, Sir Brian, what's your takeaway, especially for PTE? Because I cannot share any actual experience for PTE.
Thank you, sir. Actually, I prepared a few questions, a few exciting questions for us to answer during this session. So, just a few of them. And one of my questions here is, what inspired you to tackle this English exam? Like, is there any cool story behind it? And I actually had taken already three different English exams. One is the IELTS academic module, one is the general training module for IELTS on computer, and the PTE. And the experience is not really similar every instance. So the paper delivered examination I've talked about already. The computer delivered experience for me for IELTS was like so totally different. And for me, it was so convenient to take it because I was not used to taking the examination in one venue only. But for the computer delivered version of the IELTS, everything happened in just one place, which is kind of exciting. And everything happened within one day only. So it was so totally different, but a little bit exhausting. Now, the motivation I had back then when I took the examination a second time was to actually migrate. But things don't pan out as planned, and I was not able to migrate because of the pandemic and all that. And it was a general training examination, so it's a different experience at the same time because there's a different reading test and also a different writing examination. Um, and then the PTE was something that I took just for credibility purposes. And I think Sir Irvin will be able to relate to this because I didn't have a pending application back then when I took the PTE. I just took it because I needed to teach PTE. And here at 9.09, we don't teach if we don't take the exam. So, for the sake of experiencing the examination, I had to take the PTE, and it was super convenient. It was still a 3 hour examination back then, but it was super convenient because there's no need for you to transfer from one room to another, and then you're just going to take everything in one go, and the results were out very fast. Like, we stepped out of the room, connected to the internet, and voila, our results are out. We received an email right away from the Pearson test of English that we have our results available online. So we just needed to access that. Back then, data was still like 3G. I don't know, LTE, so it's kind of slow. So I needed to go back home to access my results. But we received the notification right outside the testing venue. So it's really very fun. But yeah, I would also want to ask the same questions to Sir Irvin. What inspired you to tackle the English exams that you've taken? Like, you've taken the paper delivered version of the academic and general training tests. What was your inspiration, Sir Irvin?
Well, I'm 100% certain that Sir Brian knows my story. But let's pretend that the people here, the live viewers, have not heard of my experience. So, okay, let's go back to 2006. So 2006, that was when I turned 18 years old and I needed to find a job as a working student in Metro Manila. So back then, I was able to find this review center that got me in as one of the instructors, even if I have not taken the IELTS yet, because the owner of the review center looked at my credentials. Okay, you know what? You've never had any teaching experience. You have not taken the IELTS, but with this, I'm seeing the potential, so he allowed me to work. So I started to teach IELTS before I took the examination. So here comes April 2007 when I opened Niner. I was still in college back then. And yes, I have not taken the IELTS yet because, mind you, for me, that was just so expensive. 8,640 pesos back then, as compared to it is to how much the IELTS costs now. It's 12,720 pesos. So in a matter of 16 or 17 years, the examination got more expensive by more than 4,000 pesos. So finally, in 2008, I found the courage to take the examination because apparently you will never run out of detractors, bashers, and naysayers. And they were like, how can someone, a 19 or 20-year-old candidate who has not even taken the IELTS teach English examinations? And back then, I did not graduate from college yet. I graduated in October of 2008, but I took my IELTS in July of 2008. So as you can see, for most people, they graduate from college, pass their local board, then have hospital experience before they take their IELTS. In my case, it was the other way around. I started to work, then opened Niner, then took my IELTS before I graduated from college. So if you could only imagine the mounting pressure that I had on my back, because from 2006 to 2008, I helped plenty of candidates to get 9 in listening, 9 in reading. I even had reviewees with a 9 in speaking. And in those 2 years, I had two reviewees who got 9.0 in writing. And I was like, Lord, what's going to happen to my career if I cannot get a 9.0 in one subtest? And Lord, I know that obviously the performance of the candidate will definitely be affected by the level of difficulty in the actual examination. Sometimes, if you are fortunate enough that the material is easy, then good for you. It's a 9 in listening, 9 in reading. But what if on the day of the examination, no matter how hard you tried, but one answer slipped your ear in the listening test, then definitely that's not a 9.0 in listening. Or what if in reading you have encountered an unfamiliar word and it's just unfortunate that this unfamiliar word is actually the answer to one of the questions. So I pray to God, the Almighty Father, Lord, please give me just one 9.0 and minimum of 8.0 in all subtests. With that, I can continue with my career. So for most of you, your motivation maybe is, Lord, I want to take an English test for me to work in the United States of America. Back then, what's my motivation? Lord, I want to continue this business. I want to continue my career. So please, it's not going to be 9.09er anymore. If I cannot get 9.0 in one subtest and I cannot call myself a niner, well, God's remain loyal to those who remain loyal to them. And just as I prayed for, I got one 9.0, and that's in speaking. And then listening 8.5, reading 8.5, and writing 8.0. So just exactly what I prayed for. 1.9 and minimum of 8.0 per subtest. So finally, I was able to breathe. And you know for a fact that I was able to continue with my career because 17 years later, 9.09er is still here. That's why we're celebrating our 17th anniversary extravaganza. But for my second IELTS, actually, I had a plan to migrate to Canada because this was when nursing was already going down, IELTS was going down. And I'm like, okay, I'm young. I might be able to have a career in Canada. So I took IELTS general training. This was in 2011. But you know what? God always has a way of leading you to the right path. And so, in my last 17 years or 18 years in this industry, it's always up, down, up, down, up, down. So, I believe where I am at right now, God always has a plan for everything, and He's just preparing me for what's ahead. Why? What happened in 2011 was I took the IELTS general training and I got stellar marks, 9 in listening, 9 in reading, 8 in writing, and an 8.5 in speaking. But that was also when the Canadian demand list also changed. The National Occupational Classification, they trimmed it down to only the following jobs or the following occupations that can enter Canada. And I'm not a nurse. I'm a researcher by profession. They removed my NOC from the demand list. So goodbye to my Canadian dream. Guys, this is why I'm sharing it with you because sometimes originally you have a plan of, say, for instance, going to Maryland, and then all of a sudden Maryland decides to not accept or reject other English examinations. So now you're thinking, okay, so this is going to be another postponement of my American dream. Always remember that God has a reason for everything because it may not be as linear as you think as it is. God might tell you, okay, sometimes there is a diversion road on the way to success. So, Sir Brian, that's my story. I did not take my IELTS for my first attempt to go abroad. I had to take it for credibility, and I'm glad I was able to do so. What about Sir Brian? Do we have the next question for us?
Yeah, certainly. But what I'm picking up here is that regardless, IELTS is a life changing examination. I think everyone will agree, whether you're applying to go abroad as a nurse or you are pursuing a better and greater career ahead of you. IELTS and other English exams just open up so many opportunities for people. And here is another fun question. So we have question number 2 right here, and I will just try to answer this one, as randomly as I can. Describe your exam day in 3 words. Go. Difficult, and that's number 1. Number 2, I would say it is chaotic. Like I didn't know what was going on. And number 3, most importantly, it's rewarding. Like, all of those things could be difficult, it could be chaotic, but at the end of the day, it's rewarding. Like there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, like sunshine after the rain, something like that. How about you, Sir Irvin? What's your answer to this? This is like a pageant question.
Yeah, I was about to say, wow, this is some sort of a Miss Universe type of question. And I thought of the perfect answer, not really in a beauty pageant kind of way, but my examination in 3 words: do or die. I'm sure you heard what I shared earlier. And why is it a do or die? If I won't get, I told myself, if I won't get 9.0 in one subtest, I'm going to close my review center. And if I get lower than 8 in any subtest, I'm going to close this review center because it's a shame. The owner of 9.09er cannot even get a 9.0 in one subtest. Yuck. The owner of 9.0 even got a 7.5. So good for me that my lowest is writing, which is considered the lowest grade in any subtest of the IELTS. So yes, that's actually the right words, do or die. What about you guys? Have you taken the examination? Well, Gel just commented, ha ha ha. I mean, yeah, remember, I'm not beautiful, so I'm not selling a beauty product, okay? All I know in life is to talk and text. So if I can even get a 9.0 in speaking, then I'd better close 9.09er. So yeah, do or die. Do we have more questions, Sir Brian, before we
Yeah,
move on?
we have 10 minutes, sir, or five
Okay.
minutes probably because you still need to announce the winners. But we have
Yes.
some more questions here. So the next question is, which section made you go, "Wow, I nailed it," and which one made you sweat a little? In my case, I knew it was the listening test first exam. I knew it was the listening exam because the second section was like terrible, but I knew I nailed it during the writing exam. Like I got that question before, I did that a week ago. I had coaching for it. I had feedback for that. So when I wrote and I finished, I ended, I knew I was able to get a really good score there. Same with my second exam. I knew I got a good score in the speaking examination because my super strict examiner back then actually had no emotions throughout the entire examination, but at the end of the examination, she smiled at me and she said, "That's the end of your speaking examination." And she had a break after. Like, she had a lot of other candidates in between, but she had a break after, like an emergency break, went to the other room, started chatting with the other examiner, and they were like laughing and, like they're happy inside the room. So I was like, were they talking about me? I kind of knew that I did well during the speaking examination during that time. How about you, sir? Was there any moment when you said, "Oh, I did so well here"?
Okay, so for the record, and people close to me know this one, they know for a fact that I cannot cook, I cannot dance, I cannot sing, I cannot drive, but I talk. So every single day, that's the only thing that I do. Now, I'm rusty because I don't practice speaking. But back then, obviously, being the uber competitive person that I am, I actually answered 2,000 speaking questions, rehearsed all of them in front of the mirror. So I get to assess, do you think the examiner is going to like this delivery and so on? So after the speaking exam, I told myself, oh, I nailed it. Sir Philip once said competence, or rather, yeah, competence leads to confidence. So if you know that you come prepared, definitely you won't feel anxious. Yes, there is this mounting pressure that I must get 9.0 in speaking, but after answering 2,000 questions during my review, I'm sure I'm going to nail it. And after my speaking examination, good thing I was able to use the info that I had at the back of my mind. I was able to share the information that I prepared for to my examiner. So that's when I said, aha, I nailed it. It's just a matter of, is my examiner that kind who is going to give as high as 9.0? Because yes, back then there were examiners who gave ceiling grades. And when we say ceiling grades, they don't give higher than 7.5. So yeah, everything fell into place. That was when my fair examiner gave me a 9.0 in speaking. And what about that subtest that made me sweat a little? I already know in listening, I missed one answer, probably the reason why I got 8.5. And then in reading, you can't be too confident, especially with true false not given. So I told myself, okay, if I'm going to get minimum of 8 in reading, that will make me the happiest person in the world. Unfortunately, I got an 8.5. So that's roughly one or two mistakes. Now, for writing, I know that ever since I've been doing public presentations, but I don't write a lot. Maybe writing is for people who are timid, who are not too expressive and they're able to express themselves through writing. And I'm not that kind of person. That's why my writing is just so basic. So that was when I really prayed hard, Lord, minimum of 8.0, please. Well, I prepared. What did I do during that time? Instead of writing a lot, I had to read a lot so that there's plenty of information for me to write depending on the actual topic. And guess what? The actual topic that came out in my writing, biotechnology. And it's like there are two kinds of fruit now that we have more kinds of fruit and vegetation. Do you think that biotechnology is advantageous or disadvantages? So imagine if I did not read, there's nothing I can write about biotechnology because, for one, my course is not science related. My course is research related. So thank you to my reading skills back then because it helped me to write something about biotechnology. Yes, I had to sweat a little, but because I came prepared, I was able to get my target scores. Do we have more questions, Sir Brian?
Well, we have just one last question before
Okay.
we announce the winners. The last question is, who was your feedback or your IELTS or PTE guru? Did they have any fun ways to help you improve? Honestly, when I was a student at 9.09, I had so many teachers who were really fun. Like most of them are not anymore employed with Niner. Some are still employed at 9.09er. Sir Philip was one of my instructors, and Sir Irvin was my instructor before. And then I had a couple of coaches. Sir Renan and Sir Jasper back then, who were really, really good and very passionate about what they're doing. But if there's anyone that I could recall, it's probably Sir Philip and Sir Irvin. I could recall because when I attended their lectures, I was so inspired, so motivated. Like, oh my gosh, these people were really good. And they were very young back then. You know, that was like 13, 14 years ago. Oh my gosh, I was like in a room and I was expecting the teacher to be like a professor in his 40s or something. And then Sir Irvin walked and entered the room. I was like, oh my gosh, this person is even younger than me, but he knows his English so well. He's very successful. He has gotten a very high score. Same with Sir Philip, and I was so impressed and motivated. And I felt like, these people have been master of their craft for a very long time. I could not be inspired as much as I could be at that time. And I did well because I knew I was being mentored by really great people. How about you, Sir Irvin? Who was your feedback guru when you prepare for your English tests?
Sir Brian was actually correct when he said that he enrolled at Niner after I took the examination, which means to say when I prepared for my IELTS, I have not met Sir Brian, I have not met Sir Philip, and I will never forget Mary Chris Magtoto. Why? There are a lot of people who can obviously teach well in English. But when Mary Chris gave me feedback during that time, she was so honest. She's one of the lecturers of Niner, and even if I was her boss, she wasn't afraid to point out the errors. It's only when we learn from our mistakes that we can apply them such that when we take the examination, because we got feedback from other people, now we are able to implement them. Because sometimes if you don't ask for evaluation from others, you wouldn't actually really know how you're going to improve. So this is the reason why AMN Healthcare International is actually sponsoring the review for IELTS, OET, and PTE, and that includes daily one-on-one coaching. So guys, please don't forget to maximize the daily one-on-one coaching. Unfortunately, here's an interesting question from Froylan. What can you say about IELTS versus PTE pros and cons? But this question cannot be answered in 3 minutes. Fortunately for Sir Froylan, we have another session 2 Mondays from now because 9.09er English is always present here at AMN Academy every second and fourth Monday of the month, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. So now, for our lucky winner, she's one of the first to comment, and she's still present until the end of our Facebook Live session, we'd like to congratulate Miss Jel DG. Congratulations. So to claim your prize, kindly message me personally, Irvin Neil Temporal, or you can message 9.09er English. And thank you for the suggestion, Sir Froilan. Maybe that's one of the topics that we will include 2 Mondays from now when we are going to have another round of AMN Academy live lectures only here on AMN Healthcare International. So before we say goodbye, we'd like to thank all the live viewers. We'd like to thank Miss Malanes, everyone at AMN Healthcare International. And if you're from Metro Manila, don't forget to mark your calendars. That's June 29th. That's a Saturday, 12 noon to 5 p.m. as a Mega Mall, Mega Trade Hall 1 for our English Exams Expo for you to win a free English exam, free book, free sandwich, and who knows, you might be the grand prize winner of 17,000 pesos. If you're interested to take IELTS, OET, PTE in the Philippines, come to us, not just for review, but we give discounted actual examination. So, guys, that's about it for tonight. Enjoy the rest of your evening. If you're from the other parts of the world, bon appetit and enjoy your late afternoon snack or early evening dinner. We'll see you 2 Mondays from now here at AMN Academy. Bye.